So Jonathan and Zacharias, thank you so much for joining us here at the Vancouver International Film Festival. You have a film in the festival this year. Can you tell me about the film?
Yeah, it's Maliglutit searches. It's based on searches, and it's all in Inuktitut. It's set in 1913. We set it there due to new things coming, like the rifle and stoves and cobs. Drinking, they're gonna drink tea sometimes. Yeah. So that really.
Yeah, so it was shot in around Maliglutit, where Zach's from. In about 30 days, we filmed in the winter. So it's it's a cold time of year in a cold part of the world, and so that's a strong feature in the film, is the environment and the elements, and was also a challenge for both of us when we were filming, to just deal with the weather and the environment up there.
And I'll definitely get to that, but I'm curious, what was the genesis of the film, or I guess where the story started, that you wanted to come together and tell this story specifically?
It's fiction, based on true stories. Some of the scenes where they tie up the women, I've seen that when I was a child. It was an Inuit custom, which is no longer, they don't do it like that anymore.
Yeah, and it's also, I think an interesting flip on the Western genre. Zach tells stories of watching John Wayne movies in Maliglutit, and that was the sort of the first cinema that he was exposed to, and so taking that portrayal of Indigenous people and flipping it around and making it an Inuit story, and still good guys and bad guys and chase scenes, and similar story focus, but done the Inuit way in their stories and their land, and yeah.
Perfect. And so I understand it was inspired by a classic Western movie, but you've adapted it to be based in more for your own culture and your own upbringing and your own background. Did you feel a certain responsibility in really telling that story and keeping it authentic to your own experience?
We try to get all the costumes right. We try to get all the sets, like the igloo, the ice igloo, have them built the right way. Most of it is we're just creating it, all the scenes, we're creating them. And these are new actors. These are modern day Inuit. When they're not acting, they're Facebooking like you and me. So we're training new ones using actors from Atanadjat, like the fast runner who played by Natarungala is my assistant director, and also Lucy Turugadu, who played in Atanadjat. She's also behind the camera. We're teaching new actors. Some of them have acted before, but a lot of them are new.
That's really interesting, actually. And just to follow up to that, I mean, you've said before that you really look at your films as a timepiece, that represent your own culture and where you're from. I'm sort of curious if there's a way that you sort of consult to reflect that, if there's people that you kind of run your ideas by to make sure that it's representative of the whole community and not just your own ideas.
It's just when I started working in this medium, interviewing elders, and they talk about the good old days, and you go to the editing table and there's nothing, there's no footage. So maybe that's why I started doing recreation. I like that. I like this, doing the old part, recreating the past.
I'm curious, I don't think people even have an idea of just the challenge that you would face filming in those sort of conditions. Can you tell me about some of the challenges filming in, such a cold environment, as you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of different concerns. The first was just the gear. No equipment is made for minus 40, minus 45. So we had to make some innovative adjustments. We have very, very talented sewers and seamstresses in Maliglutit, and so they made these custom fur coats for all of the equipment. And then we used hot packs that you would use to heat your hands in cold weather, and was able to keep the cameras warm enough to operate, and we didn't have any issues, which was great. And then just a lot of redundancies. So we have backups of everything, and we're completely self-sufficient because it's a 3-day flight to get new equipment up there. And then housing. I mean, we're 3 hours out of town by snowmobile, so we had to set up a camp and sleep and feed the cast and crew of about 25 people. So keeping them nourished and warm and happy for 30 days. But I mean, they're all people who are used to the cold, so it's they're hunters and they're people who are out on the land. So it wasn't new for them, fairly new for me and some of the other non-Inuit, but yeah, it all worked out.
Great. And so did you have a certain audience in mind when you wrote the script and when you set out to make this film?
Our audience are Inuit, who's going to judge our film, look at all the mistakes that we make, and then if we pass through that, then we release it to the outside world.
So what's the future plans for the film and yourself as a filmmaker?
Future plans, we're still going to go on, I guess, because we're independent. So we're trying to have a project here and overlapping projects, so we keep getting our paycheck.
Yeah, and the film has a distributor, Asuma Distribution International. So they're working on a platform to get the film to audiences that the film is made for. So up north, it's very difficult for people to see conventional theatrical releases. So we're doing a lot of local community screenings. We have a website, Asuma TV, that the film can be played on and then streamed through the website into broadcast television systems. So it can get into people's homes. And then also down south, it'll go play in other, smaller theaters, community events, friendship centers to Indigenous communities.
Zacharias, I'm curious because you're such an accomplished filmmaker and surely an inspiration for so many Canadian filmmakers as well. I'm wondering if you have any sort of advice, to other independent, aspiring Canadian filmmakers, just on all the experience you've had.
When we first started, we wanted to come out with a film, but none of it was being carved out in the map. But we were 2 years late, and when we released our films, I thought, let's learn something from our mistakes, from all the mistakes that this film will do. Let's learn from it. But then we went to Cannes and we won. And then I don't know what to say because we just got out of the land 50 years ago. And we had to learn how to speak English, and then TV, and then this, and we're going fast. We had to learn it fast. It's just like kids growing up, learning, watching and learning, and that's what we have done. New technology is always changing, getting better and smaller. I don't know. I don't know what to say. We're just trying to.
Well, I'm wondering, is there like an ultimate project for you that you certainly want to accomplish as a director? You know, maybe your next project, or just one, you know, final piece that you feel like I would love to just get, you know, a film made about?
No, I don't think like that. I'm just finding new, interesting stories here and there, and just moving on. Or else, I don't know. Really, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, one quote that I like that I've heard Zach say before is that when he's, you know, passed on, and all the elders who have this knowledge of the way that traditional Inuit were living, his films will still be there. So the legacy of the work will be, you know, a resource for future generations to really see how things were. You know, they're all very authentic, the way, as he mentioned, you know, the igloos are built the right way, the costumes are done right, everything's, you know, it's a kind of a museum almost on film. Mm-hmm.
How has the reception been to the films, I guess, for a local audience compared to an international audience?
Yeah, I think it's been good. I mean, we've had really, really strong screenings. You know, I think it's the kind of film that is quite accessible. I mean, despite, you know, it's in subtitled, but people, I think, appreciate seeing something fresh and something new. You know, Zach has a distinctive style of making his films that I think people appreciate now. And hopefully it's introducing people who may not have seen Atanarjuat and his earlier work to some of that work as well. Yeah.
You said it all. Well, thank you so much both for stopping by, and we wish you best of luck with the film.
Thank you.